Hi guys, Robert here from Destination X. Today I'm going to be doing a product review and install of the all-new ScanGauge 3 that ScanGauge at Linear Logic sent me. This is the brand new ScanGauge 3 vehicle system monitoring gauge with touchscreen display. Basically this plugs directly into your vehicle's OB2 connection where you can select and display up to 9 gauges at a time that monitor the operating conditions of your vehicle in real time. Some examples of this are your coolant temperature, your trip miles per gallon, trip distance, as well as multiple fuel economy gauges, which including your average fuel economy, your gallons or liters per hour, cost per mile, trip fuel cost. And because the ScanGauge 3 plugs directly into the OB2 connection, it can check for diagnostic trouble codes, your DTCs, and if found can display how many there are and the trouble codes themselves along with the code meaning. You're also able to view pending codes if there are any to catch problems before they become worse. The ScanGauge 3 can scan your vehicle for emissions readiness and let you know if any tests have not passed before you take your vehicle in for emissions testing. Some of the specialty features on the ScanGauge 3 compared to the previous ScanGauge and ScanGauge 2 is that it's obviously now a larger touchscreen display with over 16 million colors apparently. You get free wireless updates. I believe that's through just Wi-Fi connection. And in addition to all the gauges that came with the previous ScanGauge and ScanGauge 2, ScanGauge 3 now comes with the all-new XGauge technology. And with XGauge, you can add additional vehicle-specific gauges automatically, or you can manually put them in. So obviously I drive a 2007 Nissan Xterra, so I will have specific gauges for my vehicle that aren't necessarily on other vehicles that I can add to this. Some of those that I'm most looking forward to test out on my vehicle specifically are because I drive a larger SUV with oversized tires. I'm on 33s and a lot of extra weight and draft on and inside the Xterra. I want to see how my fuel economy adds up with all those additions and possibly the differences in my temperatures like engine temp and transmission temp. So I've yet to even actually see what's inside. I've obviously seen online and I've even watched a few other product reviews of this on YouTube, but I have not seen the product myself. So let's go ahead and check that out. Here we have the actual gauge itself. It's actually bigger than I expected, but that's it compared to my hand. So that's very nice, and like actual kind of quality plastic too. So it just plugs in right there, and then the cord that plugs in here plugs into your vehicle. Very simple. That's there. This, I'm guessing, is one of the magnetic strips. I know it connects just by magnetic onto your vehicle's windshield. And then there you go. That's inside here you have the suction cup, magnetic suction cup, so that goes right onto the inside of your windshield, and that's a magnet right there. And you put the magnet strip there, connects right there, and it's just right in front of you above your steering wheel. And then there's so previous reviews I had seen and reading about this item online also stated that there's 2 magnet strips. They give you this like extra one because the single one apparently isn't that strong to actually hold the ScanGauge on to the mount, so they give you an extra just to like double up the magnet.
Yes, science!
And pretty much after that is just the instructions and the cord itself. So that's your OB2 connection that goes, most vehicles are underneath the dashboard, underneath your steering wheel, and that's what connects onto the back of the ScanGauge. So that's pretty much everything. It's going to be honestly probably the easiest install you can do in a vehicle. Just got to put a couple magnetic stickers on the back of this, and onto this, stick that to that, plug that into your car, plug it into the back of that, and then Bob's your uncle. So let's get to it. Hey guys, so I'm here in my somewhat messy car. I'm going to be installing this now. This is the main magnet that they provide that you put on the back of the ScanGauge 3, but then they also throw in this double-sided sticky pad to help it stay on there, especially for like off-roading or just bumpier roads. You want to make sure that's really supported, because all it is a suction cup onto your windshield and then a magnet. So go ahead and get this thing on. Two different options. There's a round one that kind of like perfectly fits with the mount, but I'm going to go with the rectangle one just because it takes up more surface area. So I've already taken the alcoholic swab, or alcoholic alcohol pad, wiped this all down so it's nice and clean. It's just still drying a little bit, and then I'm going to get these stuck together and then I'll throw them on there. Having issues with this, but it says to take this white skinny strip off first and get it attached. There we go. So that's sticky surface. Attach it to this sticky pad. Take the yellow tape off. This is just embarrassing. Get that on as perfect as possible. Sticky side to sticky side. And once that's on, give it a couple minutes to actually set in. I'm going to try to line that up top there. You got to make sure you don't cover the actual port here, because then you obviously can't get the cord in that you need to. So you can either do it kind of in the middle, or I saw some people online did it more to the side. All depends on how you want to mount it on your windshield. I'm going to go in the middle here. So I've already started doing it, but once this is set in place, start peeling off this red protective covering. You'll expose the sticky side of that, and then just try to do your best to line it up on the actual ScanGauge itself. It's not perfectly center, that's going to annoy me, but it's going to have to do for now. Give that a nice rub down, make sure it sticks, solidifies, and then we'll actually hook it up to the car. So we got the small end of the cable hooked up to the back of the ScanGauge, and then the larger end, pretty much every vehicle I know of, the OBD2 location is right underneath by the pedals. Just get that hooked up and you're ready to go. Once you plug it in, this is what comes up. Your vehicle doesn't even need to be turned on or anything. Just warning, don't look at your ScanGauge while you're driving. Safety first. And then it gives you an option to do a quick tutorial. Do that, see what it does. Anytime you want, you can adjust the brightness just by doing two fingers up or down. Oh, it shows up top too, that's kind of cool. Changing a gauge, you just scroll through them, have all the options to set, whichever one you want. And that's pretty much it. Quick tutorial, done. So this is going to be the main screen once you get going. It says connecting because my vehicle is not turned on, so I can't actually scan or do the gauges at this point. But when you first plug it in, all you really need to do to actually set up the ScanGauge itself and the settings that you want to have on it all the time, just hit more. You go to setup, you can set the colors. The main colors in my vehicle are kind of like a light blue, so I'll probably just stay with that, like my Pioneer deck, radio deck thing is blue, so I'll probably just stick with that. Not exactly what color blue, but anyways, figure that out later. So that's your display. Vehicle, put in all that input if you want for your vehicle specific. I have a 4.0 V6 gas, yeah. Tank size, oh, it's in gallons. I don't know the math, but you'll have to do that. Units, so that's what will help me as well. Units, I'm in Canada, so Celsius, kilometers, liters, currency, dollar, pressure, PSI, yeah, that's all perfect. So if I go back to vehicle, there, the tank size is different. Engine size, tank size, I think mine in liters is like 21 point something, not 100%, I'll fix that later. For the adjustment, oh, you can adjust your speed. So for example, I have bigger tires, and when you have bigger tires, your speed is actually different than it shows on your speedometer. There's little websites you can find to do the math calculations of that. For me, it's like if I'm doing, I think it was in miles per hour, but if I was doing like 50 miles per hour on my speedometer, my vehicle is actually going about 53 miles per hour, I believe it was. So you can set all that up. You can change the volume, speaker volume on this. One of the differences in the ScanGauge 3 from the previous ScanGauges is this has alarms, as you can hear there. So if you set your speed or something, you set something specific on a gauge and you want to sound an alarm at you, it will do that. So if you set your speed to 100 kilometers an hour and you don't want to go anything over that, it will alert you. So that's pretty much all you can really do without turning your vehicle on. So I'm going to go ahead, turn my vehicle on, and get the rest going. So I quickly said connecting there and dipped out. Now we're back here. Now I'm able to actually go to the gauges if I want. These, I'm not going to set all these up right now and waste all of your time, but these are the different gauges that you can set up. That's the second page for some reason. Trip cost, trip time, trip distance. They're jumping around right now. Thinks I'm driving. Tank fuel use. Burning gas right now, just sitting here. And then if you go through gauge again and you go into this little gear for settings, this is how you can do a layout, so you can have max 9 gauges up at one time. You need 3x3 or 2x3, 2x2, anything like that. Or you can do different monitors and change them through. Display again. So if you go to gauge, and then you see everything here, 3 different pages of all these different gauges that you can set for your specific vehicle. And if all you have to do is hit one of them, and you can change the settings within them to make it specific to your vehicle and to whatever you're doing that day. If you want to change it for a specific trip, like today's trip, or if you're going on some type of road trip or anything like that, you can set it all specifically. Like speed max, for example, how I said that you can set an alarm if you want. You can just hit that and you can go scroll through and set all the settings, click select and set how you want, and it will give you an alarm. If you go to max, I drive a 2nd gen Nissan, so in classic Nissan fashion, I have a service engine soon, engine light on right now on my dash. These Nissans pretty much always have every dash light lit up, so I'm going to scan. I think I know what it is, but I'm going to scan anyways. That quickly it shows you what code is going off right now, and for me it's a P0430 efficiency below threshold bank 2 catalyst system, which is either going to be catalytic converter, scary, or maybe an O2 sensor. Pretty sure I've had that exact same code before, and it was an O2 sensor that I replaced, and it fixed everything easy peasy. So I'll get that done. Go back to home. Then from the home screen, hit on more again. This is where you get your XGauge. The XGauge, once again, is like where it like sets up your vehicle specific stuff. So I'm going to do the auto scan. You find your vehicle, Nissan for me, select, start scan. No new gauges found. That's disappointing. So I have a pretty basic vehicle, like stock everything, so not that surprising, I guess, and it's older. But let's try manual entry. Choose a slot, edit, and you can put in a specific gauge if you have any that you want to add to this. I don't, that I know of, so I won't bother with that. But very easy setup for the XGauge portion. Every once in a while with the ScanGauge 3, there's wireless updates. So from there, so to get to those, you just go more, setup again, over to advanced, and then you scroll down here to Wi-Fi updates and click check for updates. It'll take you to the screen where you choose your Wi-Fi network, and it'll go through that. So just setting up the monitors that I kind of want to maybe possibly run with. Just to show an example of the alerts, go to decide on a monitor, scroll down here. I'm going to choose one of my O2 sensors because that may be what I have going off right now. So it shows that it's at 21.96. So I'm going to hit select, and then it will alert me anytime that it is over 21 or whatever I want to set it as. So I'm just going to set it as 10. Hit save, alerts you right away because obviously it's already over that. So I currently have all the gauges displayed right now. I haven't set up my specific ones that I want to have up all the time when I'm driving around. But this pretty much going to be my view. All you have to do from here on out is just find where you want to mount the suction cup to your windshield. I'm probably going to alter mine a little bit to try to get it so I can have the screen more flush with the A pillar here and possibly down a bit lower, take up less space. And then this, I just have the cord running down underneath the dash, but eventually I'm going to try to get behind the hard plastics of the Xterra just so it's more clean looking and not in the way of possibly my feet or the actual door itself. That's about it. So far, so good on this thing. It's, like I said earlier, it's bigger than I expected, so I like that. This touchscreen is very reactive. It's like an iPhone. And then only cons I can really think of for this are that it's vehicle specific in some parts. It's only available, it only works on vehicles from 1996 up, so that's one thing. And then some gauges just aren't available depending on the vehicle and the manufacturer, because the manufacturer of the vehicle has to have contact with ScanGauge. Like, they go back and forth on what they can add to this, and if the vehicle manufacturer doesn't want certain things added to the ScanGauges, then the company itself can't add those in. That's about it. Yeah, so far so good. My vehicle's obviously not on now, so it keeps shutting off, but I'll get all this set up, see how it goes. Another thing I really like too is this suction cup. I've had such bad luck with these things in the past for like trying to do like phone holders or anything. They always seem to be kind of garbage. And this one seems very strong, and I think that double magnet actually helps a bit too. So we'll see how it goes once I actually go off-road again or on a bumpy, crappy pavement road. See if it falls off at all. Hopefully not. I have faith in it. But anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching, guys.